After a non-vocal inmate at Manchester Insane Asylum, the same asylum where the Master Detective was held at the beginning of Ravenhurst Unlocked, draws a giant crown in her cell and begins muttering about crowns and pirates, the Master Detective is sent to talk to her. They soon find that the mutterings are about Phineas Crown, the same pirate that the Master Detective investigated in 13th Skull. In an attempt to help this inmate, the Master Detective travels to Phineas's old mansion, now a museum, which is always what seems to happen to these locations, in an attempt to find Phineas's old crown, the Black Crown. Upon discovering it, things go wrong pretty much immediately, and the Master Detective must free everyone and save themselves. If you had told me that there was going to be a sequel to 13th Skull, I would have been dubious. I think there's potential to have a good game, but the people who make it need to try harder than the people who made the original one and create an actual game and not just a fetch quest. Well, turns out they did. Going into this, I honestly didn't have any idea that it was a sequel. It didn't take very long for me to realize the loading screen being a line of 13 skulls flew me in pretty quickly, and then the game made it very obvious once it starts. But I didn't originally go into this game thinking that it was a sequel. Apparently, Phineas Crown, the pirate that the missing dad was investigating in 13 Skull, was also called Black Crown, but I don't remember that being established. It does seem kind of an arbitrary thing to add on, but I also acknowledge that it may have been established in that first game, and I just don't remember, because most of the interesting things did kind of get lost in the boring. Anyway, this is an actual game. Huzzah! There's a plot that doesn't involve you just running around doing things for people. And you can actually talk to somebody without having to first run around and find things for them. We get to hear more about Phineas Crown in this game and just what an overall terrible person he was. We really dive into this character, learning far more about him than we did in 13th Skull. The inmate at the asylum is a really nice mix of creepy and a little sad at times. Also, I'm not going to give away who it is because pretty major spoilers, but I am going to say two things. One, I really like what they did with this character, and two, I did call it before it was officially revealed. I really liked this game overall, but there was one thing that I wasn't overly pleased with. The entire last third of the game only comes about because of a stupid mistake that the Master Detective makes, one that I called out when I was playing it. For a famous, successful detective, this was a pretty bad and honestly kind of naive mistake to make. One more thing real quick that I'm not going to go into because I don't have the knowledge is that this game also delves a lot into voodoo, just like 13th Skull. Unlike in 13th Skull, however, where it's more of a side plot, here it is much more important to the main plot. I don't know how well it's portrayed, so I can't really go into it. I just bring it up so that you can know that, and just so I can say that I really hope that the game makers did their homework and portrayed it in a good way. All of that being said, I really liked this game, as I mentioned earlier, and I think it's one of the strongest in recent times. And it's certainly better than its predecessor, though I acknowledge that's not particularly hard to do. So I am officially giving it a 9 out of 10. And with all of that being said, I will see all of you